This is Sports Spectrum, the sports and faith podcast where we bring Jesus into the conversation. Here's your host, Jason Romano.
Hey guys, welcome to Sports Spectrum. I am Jason Romano. My email address, jason@sportspectrum.com. Love to hear from you. Any ideas you have on previous shows, maybe guest ideas for future shows, you can reach me directly, jason@sportspectrum.com. And today, I wanted to bring to you a conversation that took place a couple weeks ago or so with Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, who appeared on the Table 40 podcast with Matt and Leslee Holliday. Matt Holliday, of course, the 8-time MLB All-Star, played with the St. Louis Cardinals and the Colorado Rockies and the Yankees and won a World Series. And Matt is, an amazing dude, and his wife Leslee is just the best. And they started a podcast with us through the Sports Spectrum Podcast Network back in May called Table 40. And they've had amazing guests on. They've had Nolan Arenado from the Rockies. They've had Jack Flaherty from the Cardinals. They've had a bunch of former players and their wives appear on the show from the world of football, from the world of baseball. And then they had Ben Roethlisberger on recently, and Ben talked pretty openly about his faith journey. And we just thought, hey, why not bring a portion of that conversation to you here with Sports Spectrum? And then at the end, I'll encourage you, of course, to go listen to the entire conversation and subscribe to Table 40. So take a listen to Ben Roethlisberger from the Pittsburgh Steelers joining Matt and Leslee Holliday on the Table 40 podcast. And I hope you enjoy it.
Where is Jesus in sort of the last, we've covered high school to college. Where is Jesus in sort of these years? You know what I'm saying? Like, where is your faith, and kind of where is, what does that look like?
Yeah, for sure. No, I think, in high school, obviously it's front and center, right? Because your parents, you have no choice in the matter. Like if I wanted to go, if you wanted to go to like a homecoming dance, that's fine. Saturday night, you better be up Sunday morning for church. Like it was. So I think when you're in high school and your parents are there and you're kind of, you're forced, in lack of a better word, it's right there, it's in front of you. You have no choice. I think when you go to college, you have a choice, right? You either stay on that path or you can just do, because now you're in control of yourself. You don't have to go. Yeah. And so it's really, it's up to you to make that decision. And I don't think I didn't necessarily go away from my faith. I always believed and stuff like that. I didn't lose my faith in him, but I didn't grow. I didn't grow as a Christian in college, and I wish more than anything I would have. I wish I would have been on the path of growth and trying to get closer to him all through college, because I can only imagine where I'd be now if I would have done that, but you kind of, and that's the hard part. And I would encourage any high school people out there or college people, like, make a conscious effort, because it's hard, because when we grow up, right, our parents take us to church, like it's their church. So it's our church family. When you go to college, you have to actively go find a church family. And that's not easy to do. And so that's what I would just encourage people, like make that effort. Go physically try and find a church or I don't remember either in college, and we might have had it, but I don't remember there being like a group of guys on the team that did like something, like try and find something like that. Now I know there's like is Federal Christian Athletes still going?
FCA, there's still FCA and some other stuff. Yeah.
Well, I would just encourage athletes to, or not even athletes, just anybody. When you go to college, do it. Be active in it. Find it, because those college years can be tough. We all know, and it can pull you so far away from your faith. I was lucky that I didn't get pulled away from it, but I just didn't grow. I kind of stayed like here, And so, and then same thing when you get to the pros or when you leave college, unless you go back home to your hometown where you have a church family, I had to come to Pittsburgh, and I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know churches. I didn't know youth people. I knew nothing like that. So same sort of thing. So I went through a phase of my life where I wasn't growing. And my college coach always said, you either improve or you deteriorate. You never stay the same. So I would have to say, if I wasn't improving, I was going down. And I wasn't growing in my faith. And so those are the few things that I regret, and I wish I would have done better in college. And then then my parents ended up moving to Pittsburgh, and you start looking for church stuff. And now we're blessed. We've got an amazing church family, and that's why I say so. The last 10 years or so have been great because we found a church family. We've got good small group at our we do and things like that. But there was that period of like 4 years in college, and then like 3 or 4 years, my first couple of years in the pros, where I wasn't growing as a Christian, and I wish I would have, because I can only imagine where my walk would be now. But I do remember, and you have to remember these things, that it's his plan and his, he knew what he was doing, and I was trying, but I just encourage people to do everything you can to, especially in college, try and find a church family if you can, or go home every weekend, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. I really love that. So talk about your pro career a little bit. With Matt, I think baseball and football are similar in the fact that you do become family with your teammates. And some of your family members are better than others, for sure. So as far as the locker room goes, is there anybody early in your career that impacted your walk with the Lord? Matt has a couple guys early in his career that have definitely shaped and molded his faith. And so is there anybody like that for you?
I think, and I don't, and maybe it's just because I was so I had a lot of success early, won a Super Bowl. I came in my first year, and the second game of the year I had to play because the quarterback got hurt, and then we won every single game. And so all of a sudden, and then in Pittsburgh, when football is like everything, it's like, wow, all of a sudden I'm the man. And then you win a Super Bowl your second year, and then you win one a couple years. I mean, it's like, holy cow, it's crazy success really early. I don't remember it being as cool to be a Christian as it is today.
Right.
Maybe it was, and I just wasn't, my eyes weren't open to it. I had tunnel vision.
Right.
But now, like, we have, we do Bible studies on Friday mornings, and there might be 20 some guys in there.
Yeah.
Chapel the night before the game, there's so many people. And so it's kind of like, it feels cool to be a Christian now, I think. Cooler, and it's like, and that's what I just did a testimony for Man Up, and I told people I want to be a better Christian than I am football player. Like, I don't think there has to be one or the other. Like, I don't think you have to be either a really good athlete or a really good Christian. Like, you can be both. And I encourage high school kids, because I know in high school, like, that definitely wasn't the coolest thing to do, is be a Christian.
Well, there's that stigma too of that Christians are soft too. Yeah. And I tell people all the time, like, some of the toughest, like, not meanest, but like kind of meanest, like, get after you competitors that I played with were Christians. Like, and I think the Lord calls us to be competitive and do everything with excellence. So I don't know is there a similar stigma maybe a little bit in football too? I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not, but I'm glad. I think it's changing. I definitely think it was that way earlier. I think it's changing because I've played against guys that will bury you in the ground and almost step on you to get up and then help you up, or after the game, be like, hey, God bless you, man. I'm praying for you. I'm like, please. Yeah. Did you just
yeah.
So, but those are cool things. Like, I went to the PAO this year for the first time. My wife and I actually went, and it was so cool to see all the people there that I'm like, I had no idea. And it's fun to be a part of that community. It's fun to see that, because you're right. I mean, we need to mentor the younger generation to do the same thing, to show them it's cool. Yeah. And so I don't, you asked me the question about who mentored me in my faith in football. I don't know that I had one early. And I wish I maybe, like I said, that could be my fault because I could have not allowed it, but I don't remember the team doing a Bible study the chapter before. But now we have got great guys in this team and great teammates and guys that just love. I mean, we've got guys on our team that just love the Lord, and it's so much fun to watch.
Do you ever feel like, as the quarterback, and you're the leader of the team and you're the face of the franchise, is there a burden for you to make sure that you're getting to know? I mean, it's a big roster, 50, 60 guys. Like, is there a burden sometimes for you to make sure that you're interacting and getting to know and really, I guess, making sure that the relationships with that many guys, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like with 25 guys and, pitchers are kind of off on doing their own deal. Like, sometimes I feel like there was guys I didn't really know, and I felt a little bit of guilt about that.
That's been one of the criticisms that I've faced over the years, is that I haven't been the best teammate because I haven't gotten to know everybody and I haven't gotten to be close with everybody. I take the mindset a lot of times and the approach. I think the more people know me and know me longer, understand that I just want to win. I'm not here to make friends all the time. And I and I know it's hard. I think as I've gotten older, I've tried to walk a finer line. I try to walk that line of trying to be a more approachable person.
Mm-hmm.
But, early in my career, especially, it was like, if you're not like, maybe a young guy or something, right? A guy that's a practice squad guy or someone that is a rookie. Like, if you're not helping me win right now, I don't have time for you. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you that's just the pro. Like, I'm trying to win. And if I don't have time to sit here and ask you who
Right.
your, what your pet's name is and stuff like that. Like, if I use it, I joke, but I always say, like, if you're looking for a friend, go to the Boys and Girls Club. Like, go to the YMCA. Like, I'm here trying to win a championship.
Right.
I'm not saying that's right by any means. I'm just saying that's the approach I had. And I've tried over the last handful of years, 4 or 5 years, to really take an approach of trying to get to know guys a little better. I think it hurt me early on because every time I felt like I would get close to someone, they would get traded, they'd get released, whatever it was. And it's like, why am I spending so much time getting close to someone and then they're gone? And yeah, you talk, when guys get traded, like, you still talk to them a little bit, but it's not the same. It's way different. So I think that hurt me early on with that approach. I'm not, but like you say, yeah, it's hard to know guys. It's hard to know everybody because, offense and defense and, kickers and specialists and all the things that go on. And you've got, 53 guys on the roster, plus then you've got 6 or 7 practice squad guys, and it can change so much. And so I haven't been good at it, but the last 4 or 5 years, I've really tried to spend time to let guys, like I tell guys all the time, like, why do you think I'm not approachable? Have you tried? And I said no. And they're like, well, you just have this look on your face. I'm like, that's
my face.
my face. What's wrong with it? But
There's nothing I can do. It's the only face I got.
yeah, so it's something I've tried to work on to be closer to guys because I think it's important to still, especially now trying to be a mentor and a leader, especially in my faith. Like, I want them to be able to come approach me if they have questions about, fatherhood, being an older guy on the team and stuff like that. Like, guys are starting to do that, and I do enjoy that. I like to take the time because it gives me an opportunity to add my 2 cents on being a good husband and father, but also on trying to be a good Christian.
So let's talk about your wife a little bit and your marriage and what, you guys have been married quite a while now, but what kind of marriage advice would you give a young athlete? Because it's not that it's different when we're married to athletes, but logistically it can be challenging. And there are different challenges that come with being married to well-known men. And so what kind of things have you guys done well, and what kind of things do you wish you would have done a little bit differently, looking back on stuff?
Yeah, I think, you're asking me, that we've been married for a while now, and I've been playing for a lot longer now. It's easier for me to say, and I try and tell this to guys, especially married guys, but it's, like I said, it's easier for me now, older, and I've been established. Like, I try and tell them, your wife and your family should be a priority over your sport. And that's really hard for young guys to understand. I get that. And it's much easier for me to say, but I've said many times that, like, my faith comes first, then my family, then football. And that's the way it should be. It's not easy to do, but that's what it should be. And my wife understands that. And I try to put her first. I try to, I think the other thing I try to, when I come in the door at home, I try to, like, leave it behind. Right. I think that's good and bad, because what happened early in our marriage was she's like, how's your day? Fine. It was good. And then it's like, and you move on. Right. But then it's like, you're not communicating. Mm-hmm. And a part of me would be, she'd be like, why don't you ever tell me what's going on? I'm like, do you really want to know, like, that in practice that a cover 2 safety came down and bit on this, and like, and so, like, but I understand now, like, when I come home, I'll be like, okay, this is what, like, maybe not just like those details, but, so I talked to so-and-so today, like, things like that. And, the same thing where she's a cardiac PA. So she's doing heart surgeries. And when she would come home from work, she'd be telling me, like, all these different, like, veins and all this stuff she did. And I'm like, in one ear and out the other, like, but I get that that's the communication part. You have to have that. So I would just, like, it's a line to walk between leaving it at the door and communicating, like, that's your best friend. Your wife is your partner, your best friend. Like, you should be able to come home and be like, man, I had an issue with this teammate today, or this happened and this happened. And they should be able to support. And as a wife, I mean, she's on a call right now. I told her she's coming here, but like, the support just has to, like, it has to be no matter, because you guys will never understand what we go through. And on vice versa, we'll never understand what y'all go through, because I couldn't imagine being the wife of Ben Roethlisberger. It's not easy. I mean, when people criticize me, I can let it go in one ear out the other. It goes in her and it just sits there and it boils and she gets so angry. And I keep telling her, like, it's okay. Like, I'm fine. It's okay. You know, if someone says Ben was terrible today, she's ready to blow up, you know? So it's just, to me, and it's communication. And whether that's teammate to teammate, you know, we had a lot of issues a few years ago in the off season, and it really just stemmed from lack of communication. Yeah. If people would talk and communicate more, I think that's a worldly issue. If we all communicated more in just life, I think there'd be a lot less issues.
No doubt about it. And so you guys have 3 young kids?
Yes.
How's that going?
It's good. They're actually, it's like so calm because they're at church camp this morning.
It's
so good. Camp for like 3 hours every morning, and we're just like, this is heavenly. This is so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our oldest boy is 7, and then our girl is 6, and then our youngest boy is 4.
Oh, so you guys have them back to back to back.
Yeah, we tried. I wasn't getting any younger, so we tried to.
Yeah, knock these babies out.
Yes, yeah. They're awesome. They're so much fun. I told you my son actually like loves baseball now, but might need some help. He's actually playing. His team's the A's, so we might need some help.
So, how has your faith impacted your parenting?
You know, that's might be the toughest. I mean, we try to read books, we try to talk to people, you know, because you want to raise. We are going to raise. You know, you raise them to love Jesus, and I think they do. There's no doubt. Like I think it's more about us, right? Like not getting frustrated, not getting angry, swallowing your volcano. We tell our kids, swallow your volcano. Like we have to do the same thing. And then you know, our oldest is like kind of emotional at times. So if you just say something to him, oh, you think I'm the worst ever? Like, what? Like, no, I didn't say it. You know, like, so I think parenting is like sometimes less about trying to make the kids as much as it is about like us. The other day she comes out, I was out in the garage doing something, and she comes out like, this is unbelievable. I'm so angry. And I'm like, what happened? You know? And it just, once again, you have to communicate with each other because it takes a lot of patience to raise kids. And I would encourage people to use your resources, whether it's other friends that have kids, books. I mean, everyone's got their opinion, right, on everything in life, but people that have walked through and have experienced it can help you. I've got a teammate that just had a baby, and he's like, he'll be texting me, Ben, I don't know what to do. He won't stop crying. I'm like, that's just going to happen, bud. Yeah, it won't tell me. You know, I can't tell you what's going on. I said, my son's 7. He sometimes won't tell me what's going on either. So it's just, you know, just use your resources, use your friends, use people you know, because it can be very trying, you know. But at the end of the day, it's like you could be. I'm sure you guys the same way. I don't know how old you're. I know you guys. We have 3 kids too.
4.
Yeah.
4.
16, 13, 10, and 7. Almost 7.
Okay, yeah. So you guys, yeah, like my son today he's 7. He's caring about like what he looks like already, and we're like, are you serious? Like yeah. You had to have the cool mask on, you know, to go to church camp, and so I just, you know, just communicate together and work, because they can be so frustrating, and then literally come give you a smile and a hug, and you're like, oh wait, I forgot what I was mad about, you know. So
that was Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, joining Matt Holliday and his wife Leslee Holliday on the Table 40 podcast. Hope you enjoyed that little snippet of the conversation that they had. It was really just an enjoyable conversation that Matt and Leslee had with Ben. And Leslee is really the driving force behind the Table 40 podcast, Leslee Holliday, Matt's wife. And initially it was just going to be Leslee doing the show, but she brought Matt on, and I think it's a better show when you have a husband and wife dynamic doing it together. And, you know, Matt is as proven a baseball player as there is. He had an amazing career with the Cardinals and with the Rockies and a little bit with the Yankees, and won a World Series and NLCS MVP. Just one of the great players of the 2000s, certainly into the 2010s, but also a really, really great dude as well. And really enjoyed what Ben had to say too. You don't hear a lot about Ben Roethlisberger's faith story much anywhere. That's actually why we wanted to bring it to you here on the Sports Spectrum podcast. But do us a favor if you could. If you're a listener of this podcast, we are so grateful that you tuned in. But we want to direct you to Table 40 as well. Go subscribe. We'll put a link to subscribe in the show notes. but subscribe and support that show as well. They are a part of the new Sports Spectrum Podcast Network. And in a couple years, this podcast network, who knows where it could be? We have a lot of ideas for future shows and future people to host shows here on the podcast network. And would love your ideas as well. I said my email up front, but I'll say it again, jason@sportspectrum.com, jason@sportspectrum.com. And just send us any ideas that you might have for a future guest on this show or even a future idea for a podcast. I'd love to hear from you. But also go subscribe and support Table 40 with Matt and Leslee Holliday. If you like sports and you love Jesus, that's a podcast to listen to as well. So check it out. It's the Sports Spectrum Podcast Network. You can find it at sportspectrum.com and subscribe everywhere podcasts are found. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time right here on Sports Spectrum's podcast. Love you guys. Hope you all have a great rest of your day.